Steve here. I'm the founder of Malaysia's leading personal finance portal, MyPF.my. I hope everyone will gain into Bitcoin this evening to simplify and grow. And thank you all so much for joining us this Thursday evening. So just a little bit of a background, our weekly Clubhouse format. So we're planning to do this every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. We'll be having 5 key discussion areas of 10 minutes each. So each speaker is suggested to talk for about a minute or less. Just keep it simple, keep it succinct. And we will also be bringing up 1 to 2 audience members. So that's our GRO, Guest Relations Officer's Marshall's job for today as well. We'll be bringing in a couple of audience members to ask questions or to share comments if you have time to do so as well. So please raise your hands. All right, so today we will be talking all about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin hit an all-time high of USD 58,000 or 240,000 ringgit and a market cap of USD 1 trillion. All right, 1 trillion, that's 12 zeros, yo. All right, and then after that, before Bitcoin dropped nearly 17% of its value. So let's get our speakers today to just say hi and share super quickly what you hope our audience can gain today. All right, so ladies first again. Scarlett, why don't you start us off? What do you hope our audience to gain from today?
Hello guys, I didn't properly introduce myself. I'm Scarlett. I'm the marketing and partnership leads of Luno Malaysia. I'm the 3rd employee as well as the first woman to join the Luno Malaysia team. So I am really proud that I am in this journey with Luno and being invited to be in this session to talk about Bitcoin with everybody. So yeah, I hope that from this session we can sort of clear the air. I think maybe some of you are a bit skeptical about buying your first Bitcoin or felt overwhelmed with all the information that's out there and you do not know where and how. So I hope after this session you feel more confident and and own your first Bitcoin after our session tonight. Yep, that's all.
All right, 3rd employee and female as well. That's total bragging rights over there. David, share with us.
Yeah, sure. Introduce myself. I'm actually the general manager of Luno Southeast Asia business. So I manage all the business within Southeast Asia for Luno. And at the moment, we are available in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and a little bit outside Southeast Asia is actually Australia as well. So I also manage the business in Australia with the team there on the ground. And obviously, I think Scarlett was one of our first few hires in Malaysia. We're really excited. I remember back a few years ago when I had to really convince her how big the opportunity is. She had a choice of joining between Shopee or Luno. And back then it was just Aaron and I running the Malaysia business. But thankfully, she's very smart. She realized the potential of the industry. I think back then Bitcoin was probably trading around, if I'm not mistaken, it's about 6,000-7,000 US dollars. She joined us, and because of all the great things that we've done together, the market has grown together as well. I think right now Bitcoin is kind of trending near to 50,000 US dollars. So it's gone up really, really well. I think Scala is a good example, right? I hope through this conversation we can provide everyone in this room a lot more understanding of Bitcoin as a whole, and why has it been so demanded. And again, are we too late, right? Are we too late to enter into this space right now, and why you should enter into this space? So I'm very excited to be here, and I hope to share all this insight with the audience today, alongside other moderators here as well. Thank you.
All right, that's totally awesome, and you can see how passionate David is about Bitcoin and about Scarlett as well. All right, Cerventus, share with us what you hope the audience to gain from.
So Daniel here. Been involved in the crypto space very on the side for a very, very long time. I think probably old timer here. So generally very generally very bullish about crypto in general, but also just here to really want to warn the audience in terms of getting themselves familiarized what they're getting themselves into, because A is not the faint of heart. B, is also one of those industry. I know we are talking about Bitcoin, but there's a lot of other crypto that muddles around it. It's like scam coins and stuff like that. So just hope people are more educated and learn in terms of what are the actual things that they should know before investing. Thanks.
Definitely good thoughts. I'm not sure we will have time to cover, all the scam coins and all that. Probably will be a bit more on Bitcoin, but we'll
So today I'm here to I would say I'm like probably part of the audience as well. Probably take more of a back seat, seeing there's a lot of experts on crypto and Bitcoin here. So I would like to learn more, but I have my own opinions on investing in cryptocurrency as well as yeah, Bitcoin especially. So yeah, thanks.
All right, awesome. And I'm sure we're here at a purpose. I'm going to jump to Marshall and Giant super quickly before we jump into Curry. He was last, and I'm going to ask him a totally different question. Marshall, super quick from you.
Hey, this is Marshall, financial planner. I don't really have although I'm like what Daniel Cerventus has mentioned, I'm bullish, but I'm also here to actually try to be the devil's advocate here, since everyone is supporting Bitcoin, right? So I think I should stand with Idaham and or Giant here to give him some support.
All right, so we have two skeptics in the house, Marshall as well as Giant. Giant, yeah, say a few words. What you hope the audience to learn tonight.
All right, thanks, Steve. Good evening, everyone. My name is Idaham. I'm a co-founder of Vantage Advisory, a licensed financial planning firm and advisory firm. I think the most important thing is, having all the right information. I think Daniel said it very well. Having all the right information to make responsible decisions and understand this space before you start investing. Yeah.
All right, thanks for sharing that thoughts. And Kari, you're getting a totally different question. My question to you, Kari, is: will you ever change your profile picture to show lasers shooting from your eyes? I just think that's going to keep your burger nice and toasty. Yeah.
Hi, Steve. Okay, yes, definitely sure. Right, I'll change it. Like one of these days, right? It's a bit busy. Else, no. Definitely, I'll change it. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. My name is Curry. I'm from Penang. I'm a tech hippie. Married, 3 kids. I love tech and entrepreneurs, and I also a believers of bitcoins and also other cryptos. I'm a holder.
Yeah, Kari is a holder. He's a grower as well. So, he's growing both Bitcoin as well as his garden. And with that, let's blast off, shall we? All right, we're a couple of minutes behind time, but let's jump straight into the first question. How would you describe Bitcoin to someone who has no tech and no financial background? And I'm going to get Kari to start us off with this.
Wow. Okay, so usually this one I tell people, Bitcoin is like your digital gold. Ethereum is like your digital silver, right? It's limited, and it's not easy if you want to get it. If you put in the long term, you hold it. In general, not this is not financial advice. You will see that there's a growth of it based by history and track record. So that's how I explain people about Bitcoin and Ethereum.
All right, thanks, Kari. And yeah, as always, nothing that we say can and should be taken as financial advice. We're going to try to free flow a little bit. If no one jumps in, I'll call names. But yeah, anyone can just jump in next. How would you describe Bitcoin to someone who has no tech and no financial background? Go.
Yeah, I can take this. I think Bitcoin, like what Curry has said, is a form of digital gold. Just to explain a little bit, it's divisible and it's scarce. It's also as like the internet, everyone can use it. It's accessible by anyone, and it also can act as a form of payment. So an analogy that I would like to share to everyone in this session is that the analogy is actually created by my intern. My intern said, imagine Bitcoin as the car brand, Mercedes, Proton, whatever it is, and blockchain is the engine that powers it. So I think as simple as that. Yep.
No, there's a pretty good description. Again, anyone can come in, and when we talk about blockchain, continue to talk about what is a blockchain as well. So for me, talking to people, I usually describe it as a ledger. So all of you, who did accounting in school for your Form 5 and all that, or your diploma, etc. So basically, it's actually a digital ledger, or like a giant spreadsheet actually that contains all the transactions. And with that, yeah, Bitcoin will be one of the means actually that actually uses a blockchain or this ledger as a crypto asset.
I think fundamentally you need to actually describe what the original white paper Bitcoin was actually meant to solve, and you need to also understand the like yes, Steph, calling it a ledger is actually correct, and the reason for it is basically Bitcoin and the blockchain is actually there to solve the lack of trust in a centralized system, and they are using a decentralized system to actually keep propagating what we call a blockchain. So, for example, if in the digital world, if I take a picture and I send to you, and then I can send the same picture to Scarlett and Kari and so on. But how do you? So the blockchain is there to actually ensure that this particular picture has been minus off from my account and put into your account, so I cannot send the same one over. So, calling it digital gold, I don't know. Like, I think that's what people tend to call it because of the maximum amount of Bitcoin that you can mine. That is like 21 million Bitcoin. But yeah, that it's also you cannot. But actually, the thing that I'm very reluctant to call it is actually, in general, digital currency to buy stuff, because I think it's generally if move on past that stage, especially in terms of using time. Like, you want to buy stuff, you want quite immediate gratification in terms of like buy. You don't need to wait for a while, so the transaction time will be very slow. So I would hesitate to actually call it that way.
Right, right. And you're talking from a Malaysian point of view. Yeah, SC does not. It's actually regulated under the Securities Commission, and it's actually not regulated under Bank Negara, which basically means that it's actually not a currency, but is actually viewed as an asset class. Actually, Marshall, you want to say something quickly? And yeah, you're also the GRO on duty, so feel free to bring some folks up as well. We have a couple more minutes actually
Yeah.
just for this segment.
Yeah, actually, I was actually thinking that it really depends on your perspective as a user. What do you want to use this Bitcoin for? So we can go into the technicals, and we can go as simple as just digital gold. I think it really comes down to how are you going to use it, because for normal people, they could be using this just for a hedge on, as a hedge for their investment portfolio. But for someone else that is more technical, they can use for different purposes. For example, banks, right? So yeah, I don't think it's really it shouldn't be too much of a debate, but it really depends on how do you use this technology.
Yeah, I do agree, but at the same time, you also need to understand what are some of the fundamental technology behind it, and like whether is the blockchain attackable. I mean, like, instead of just like investing in something, so I like in general investing, you at least need to understand some of the mechanics behind it, instead of just jumping into it in terms of any whatever asset class or whatever investment vehicle you're going into. So, understanding the technology might be something that you need to know a bit, instead of just trusting. Like, when someone just say, "Hey, this is digital gold," and what does that mean? Then, if then you can have like Bitcoin gold and etc., then you're basically clouding out the whole the because not all cryptos are the same. So you need to understand that a bit more.
Yeah,
Agree, Cerventus.
I see where you're coming from, but the thing is, because this is actually regulated by Securities Commission, so there are actually a lot of investment products out there that I think that a normal layman on the street wouldn't need to know all the technical things behind how it works. It's just that as long as it's someone reputable, or some regulations that's looking out or watching out for us, I think as for a normal user, I don't think they really need to look into the no this is just my point of view, but probably this group of people that we are talking here on stage, we are all early adopters, so definitely we will need to know some basics on how the fundamental works. But let's say someone on the street, let's say an uncle in his 50s, so as long as he knows that this investment is actually protected and regulated by regulators out there around the world, probably he wouldn't need to know as many or into the detail that whether is this hackable or not. Yeah,
Not
that's
exactly
just my point of
hackable.
view.
Like, I'll give you a good example. Okay, so I know there have been several rooms on Hey, David, sorry, I know you're speaking. I just want to just quickly finish this.
No worries. No.
I know there are several rooms out there that have been talking about, oh, you should invest in crypto and etc. And yeah, I mean that's good. Like the more general public that are actually like consumer or investor in it, the better it is. But at the same time, like they are up there sharing stuff that like they do not know. Like for example, one of them actually went out and shared, oh yeah, there's actually a hard limit to how many Ethereum coins, and then later at the end of the 3-hour session, they found out like, oh, he didn't actually know what he was talking about. And I do appreciate and this is not an ad for Luno, although I usually just recommend people to use Luno because it's actually it's regulated by SC, and that's one of the things that I'm very confident on that. But there are different asset class in Luno itself. So like from Ripple, from Litecoin to Ethereum to Bitcoin, and just getting people to understand that a bit more, I think it's going to be more beneficial in the long term. Sorry about that.
All right. For the sake of time, I'm actually going to just ask Lee a question, and then maybe Marshall has some questions to ask our guest, Roshan, who's up on stage as well. But yeah, let's keep it simple. There's a lot of things as well, and a lot of people are looking, common questions you get, about how safe is it, what's the taxation like, but a lot of people are actually looking at it from an investment perspective, and that's where I actually want to bring Lee over in. So in 2020, Bitcoin was up 269%, basically beating flat every other asset class, and Bitcoin in 2021, at this peak it was over 80% plus gains. So Lee, you have actually a very huge following on your blog Dividend Magic, and I know you have a sick social media game, but how would you tell your fans and your followers not to FOMO?
Okay, FOMO, yeah. So I think like Daniel mentioned, education and knowing what you're actually investing in is important. So I get it. A lot of people are just jumping on the train, and after seeing the price go up, they just want to buy in. Some say it will hit 100K soon. Some say it would crash, and nobody actually knows. So first and foremost, yes, please, not only my followers or readers, but everyone else out there, at least know the basics. Like Daniel mentioned, there's a limit. Why Bitcoin? And there's a difference for other cryptocurrencies as well. So I myself actually view Bitcoin as a store of value as well. I would go so far as to say digital gold because there are valid comparisons to gold actually. And if, in my point of view, if Bitcoin actually manages to eat into the gold market, I think it would be there is a potential for more gains for Bitcoin. So that's my point of view. Medium of exchange, I wouldn't say, I would agree with Daniel as well. Medium of exchange, I think we have been past that already. We have tried going, there's debit cards and all, but I don't think it would take foot that easily as a medium of exchange. So that's my point of view.
Yeah, definitely not for Bitcoin actually, because there's
Yeah.
only a handful of transactions that Bitcoin can actually transact per second, comparing to Visa, Mastercard, Amex that does millions and millions of transactions per second. You don't want to be waiting, pay for your Hokkien Mee with Bitcoin, and you have to wait like 20 minutes for the transaction to be confirmed. Before we head into the next segment, we have Roshan and Ershad on stage. Maybe we'll start by Roshan. Do you have a question or a comment for us?
Yeah, just a general question, right? Because I have to cover Bitcoin as well on the show, And I guess the big question I keep asking myself, and I understand the long-term thesis of Bitcoin. I think I do at least. What is the fundamental utility and value of Bitcoin? Right, that's the question here. Because one, as a store of value, I guess what is its utility, right? Because gold has industrial usages and has culturally been ingrained in society for centuries, not decades. As a medium of exchange, I think with its volatility at its current juncture and its limited supply, I don't think it could ever be a liquid form of a medium of exchange. So I think that's out of the picture, because with only 20 million, or was it 21 million Bitcoin in existence, and with 3-4 million missing, that's always going to be, I think, a hamper in its ability to become a medium of exchange. So now that leads us to a store of value and an asset class. What's its value? A stock produces cash flow, property has rental, currencies are backed by governments. Yeah, what's the value of Bitcoin?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Roshan. 21 million at the end of the day that, will ever be mined for Bitcoins. About 4 million has been lost, so that's about 17 million. And we're going to keep you in suspense. We will actually be covering that in the question 4, actually, as we talk about valuation of Bitcoin. So just hang on.
We're no longer friends.
Just hang on to that. All right, I saw Urshad come in as, we were talking about the intro. Urshad, any questions or comments for us?
Evening everyone. Okay, I'm a hodler. Basically, I've been in a post 2017 roller coaster. So I have a question, might be directly to David, because I know there's one terms in especially for holders is if not your key, it's not your coin. So especially for newcomers, right? For newcomers, basically as a Malaysian, they might use Luno as their first baby step. But then I'm curious about in terms of safety features, in terms of security, what does Luno might offer? And I think this, again, back to what I said earlier, if it is not your key, means it's not your coin, especially if your target is not for short term, it's for long term, because if let's say 10 years, 20 years, it's very long ahead. So for those who are undergo post 2017 roller coaster, especially when you talk about security and safety, how does Luno really take the action or strategy, especially on those things?
All right, thanks for the question, Urshad. And that kind of just segues us actually into our second question. All right, so David, I'll be calling on you in just a moment, and you can talk about a little bit of what Urshad mentioned, and the question that I'm going to be throwing out as well. So guys, everyone, give me a scenario where Bitcoin will go bust or basically go to zero. David, over to you.
Honestly, I'm very bullish. I don't ever think that Bitcoin will actually go to zero. I think this probably will tie into what Roshan is asking, right? Simply because there is a use case for Bitcoin. Now, we have been mentioning a couple of things, for example, store of value, etc., etc. My personal view is what creates a store of value is simply on a use case, and Bitcoin is actually used for many different reasons, right? So from us running the business, it can be as easy as someone who wants to move funds around, not necessarily just to overseas, but they might want to move funds within Malaysia. We've seen from the data that we collected, we've seen enough use case of that. A lot of data obviously tells us that a lot of people trade invest in Bitcoin is because they see opportunity to trade, right? And that itself is a use case, because Bitcoin, by its virtue of being a decentralized asset that's not controlled by a central authority, it has allowed people to trade Bitcoin in many different avenues around the world. So for example, you can trade Bitcoin in Luno, Malaysia. You can also trade Bitcoin in, for example, another regulated exchange such as Tokenized or Synergy. At the same time, you can also trade Bitcoin in an overseas exchange. And because of every single exchange running a different order book on their own, with their own demand and supply, that has actually created price discrepancies, right? So you never find a situation where if you see Bitcoin in Luno, Malaysia, let's say, for example, at 200,000 ringgit, you won't ever see the exact same price in any other exchange. So because people are constantly buying and selling, which again results in price discrepancy, that creates opportunities for people to trade and arbitrage and take advantage of the price difference. So that's another example of why Bitcoin has been invested in and why people have also traded actively with Bitcoin. Another example I would love to share is Bitcoin in a really sexy world of cryptocurrency has the largest market cap. What that suggests is a lot of people, if they want to access into this exciting new world of decentralized finance, they usually enter the market with Bitcoin first, simply because most global exchanges around the world offers their product and services and starts being regulated with Bitcoin, right? So Luno is a good example. When we got our approval from the Securities Commission, the first coin that the SC allows us to list for trading and access is actually Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin has actually become a token, some sort of like a token to a theme park, right? If you want to enter the theme park, how do you get to the theme park? You have to buy a token. You have to use your ringgit. You have to buy a token. And the moment you enter into the theme park, you get a lot of access to many different exciting products that the decentralized world of cryptocurrency offers. So these are another few examples of why Bitcoin has become so well demanded. In obviously in the world of crypto, but there will be some argument to say, okay, there are also other coins. There are also, for example, things like stablecoin, right? That provides a better mean for people to access into this space. But in actual fact, that's not really true, because at the end of the day, when the technology is still very new, when people want to access into decentralized cryptocurrencies, they will always look for global exchanges as a high liquidity, and usually they will always end up purchasing their first cryptocurrency in Bitcoin. So
All right,
I
that
will just
scope is
stop there.
really wide, David. And thanks so much
Yeah.
for the info. But in order not for us to diverge off into stable coins and all that, we just focus on Bitcoin today. And to throw back still that question to you, David, I'm not sure if I've heard it yet. Can you give me a scenario where, put on your skeptic cap for just a moment. Give me a scenario that Bitcoin will go bust or go to zero.
Hi, Stephen. I can actually, if you want.
Why you sound so like that one, Jason?
Thanks, Jason.
Right. So when will Bitcoin go bust? So it comes back to fundamentals. Okay, why does Bitcoin have value? Why is it digital gold? Why is it increasingly being accepted as a store of value? It is because Bitcoin is the world's first money system that cannot copy and paste, right? Because it is secured by a decentralized distributed network of peer-to-peer computers that secure and make sure that there's no cheating, and that every single transaction is accounted for in an open, transparent manner, is verifiable. And when people cannot cheat, thus there's only 21 million at any one time, right? And every 10 minutes, the peer-to-peer network of computers will come together. So when will Bitcoin go bust? Bitcoin would go bust the day that somebody could basically break the system and prove that there is a double spend, because that is the fundamental reason why Bitcoin, after 12 years, have demonstrated. Okay, however, the likeliness of that happening is very, very low and would exponentially be lower as time goes on. Because if you read the Bitcoin white paper, the original Satoshi Nakamoto paper, which is a historic document, highly encourage all the people, the beginners in the room, to read this 9-page document. Somewhere on page 7, you would read, the mathematical formula, which actually says that as long as this network, the good actors outweigh the bad actors, the risk of a 51% attack on the network decreases exponentially over time. So Bitcoin has existed for 12 years now, and we have passed the 10-year milestone. It's looking very promising. The risk the longer the chain becomes, the taller the security wall, to coordinate this attack. And by the time we hit the 20th milestone, virtually Bitcoin, you can say that we can predict that Bitcoin will last forever.
All right, thanks, Jason, for that. And let's hear from our skeptics in the room. And David, feel free to jump in if you have some thoughts on that as well. Giant, yeah.
I actually wanted to say that Bitcoin will go bust when the theme park shuts down. That's where I was getting to. But yeah, over to other people who have another view on it.
All right, I love theme parks, but yeah, Daniel or Giant, yeah, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say what Jason says is correct. There's actually a non-zero chance that this the 51% attack might happen. I mean, technology move quite fast in general, so potentially there might be ways to do it, but not at the moment. So fairly safe. I mean, fairly safe, but it's still a non-zero chance. So just something that we need to learn to accept as a risk that. But it's also a non-zero chance that like a company like Yahoo can go bust. So same thing.
Right, and I think it's really important as well that we always talk about, two sides of the coin, the pros and the cons as well. So yeah, Giant, you're a skeptic, yeah, when will Bitcoin go bust or zero? What are your thoughts?
The fact for me, and this is my opinion, is and my style basically. I'm pretty much a long-term fundamental investor in any asset class. To me, Bitcoin is still in its early days. Like Jason had mentioned just now, it's only been 12 years. So, there's still ways to go. And I just want to make sure that, people don't get caught in the hype or even knowing to stay calm during the volatility. So making sure that, if let's say Bitcoin goes all the way down to, say, for example, 6,000 US dollars again, we would still have a big room like this. People keep talking and continuing to believe and share and educate each other on its potential benefits, especially with blockchain. But don't just come in because everybody's coming in. That FOMO thing, I think, is real.
So, Idham,
Right.
sorry, if I could just quickly ask you a follow-up there. Do you believe, so it doesn't sound like you're a skeptic. It sounds like you're more of like, don't be stupid, and put all your money in one basket here. Do you see any room in someone's asset allocation to keep Bitcoin? Because one of the things I keep hearing is nothing more than 1% of your investment portfolio. Is that something that you're comfortable with, that number? Is that something you're comfortable with, or should it be lower than that? Or do you just not believe in having any exposure at this juncture?
All right, Roshan, your interviewer side is coming out, and we're going to keep you in suspense again. That's actually going to be our very next question as we actually talk about the percentage of, crypto holdings.
I'm really, really sorry.
No worries. I actually want to hear from Scarlett and then, with Zach and Fazurin on the stage. Great question. Just keep that in, in check, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. All right, Scarlett, I just want you to pretend right now for just a minute that David actually isn't here listening to you. Scarlett, what is the risk of you losing your job if Bitcoin crashes worse than the great crypto crash of 2018, where Bitcoin lost 65% of its value?
You're saying that I will lose my job? No.
I'm asking, what's the risk actually of you losing your job if Bitcoin crashes all the way down?
It's highly unlikely actually, because for people
Unlikely
that know,
losing your job or the crash?
unlikely me losing my job, but for the crash one, I can't confirm, because if someone guarantees anything that always gonna go up, I think it's a lie lah, right? If they tell you something is gonna definitely give you guaranteed return, is gonna go up like exponentially, I think they're lying to you. So everything
Just
obviously,
age, yeah. Your age will go up,
yeah. Your age will go up, and if you're not careful with your diet, then your weight as well lah. But yeah, I guess in terms of like the Bitcoin and everything, we are definitely long-time believers of, we believe long-term that, the potential of it. But however, the price is, definitely out of our control, because it's really affected by different factors out there. But for me, I feel that, it is definitely getting more and more mainstream, because you hear news, you see news on institutional investment, big names, Tesla, PayPal, listed company, MicroStrategy, buying millions of Bitcoin as their reserve. So I think it's definitely going.
Mastercard, yeah.
Yeah, definitely going into mainstream asset class, and as more and more people are, whether retail or instis are, going into this kind of thing, it is gonna be widely accepted. And when Roshan was talking about volatility and everything, is definitely, I mean, it's just a matter of time that it will normalize, and and all. I think I just want to share it out there is that contrary to belief, actually, the global adoption of people owning cryptocurrencies are still low. Roughly, it's just around 2.5% globally. We're saying so it's still a long way to go to educate and to bring people up to speed to increase awareness about crypto in general. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
All right, thanks for sharing that, Scarlett. And that's so true. Just basically everyone who's holding crypto right now, you are actually an early adopter. I think some statistics were showing that if you're holding something like 0.22 Bitcoin, you're already in the top percentage actually of Bitcoin holders. All right, well, we're gonna get a couple of quick either questions or comments, and we appreciate keep it brief because we're running a little bit behind time. Zach, any questions or comments for us?
Yeah, okay. My question is, I remember back then when Luno first added XRP, you guys said that you added this because one of the reason, at least, is because it has a interesting remittance use case. And I would like to know, are there any works going on right now, or what is your plan with it?
All right, we're waiting for David or Scarlett, really.
Always ladies first. Scarlett?
Okay, Zach, thanks for the question. I think remittance is definitely something that we are looking at. But however, as I mentioned earlier on, we are currently Luno Malaysia is still focused on, getting more people on board to the crypto spaceship first. We are just the platform that offers the cryptocurrencies for people to buy, sell, and trade. So the use case itself really we can't determine it is but we are definitely looking into it. But it's just that I think it's too early to tell and introduce this for now lah. But David can add on if you have anything to elaborate further.
Yeah, I just want to add on what Scarlett has said, right? The reason why we introduced XRP was, it has a very interesting use case, but that might not necessarily mean that we can realize its use case in Malaysia, because at the end of the day, the approval that we get from Securities Commission is to operate an exchange. For any businesses that want to, run a service and provide a remittance, that will need a separate license from Bank Negara, which we do not have plans for at the moment, because that's not our goal as a business, at least in the short term. Our goal in the business in the short term is to create a very simple app for people to access into major cryptocurrencies, which they want to. Hope that answers your question.
Simple as our tagline, and what I personally believe in as well. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Zach. The answers from David and Scarlett from Luno. Fazurin, do you have a question or comment for us?
Hello, hi. So I missed the first 10 minutes, I think, of this talk. So I apologize if this has come up already. If it has been answered, then you can ignore my question. I have a question that makes me sound like a skeptic, but I'm not a skeptic. I don't think I am. But the thing is this, I think it surely doesn't escape us the fact that, the drastic rise in the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies more generally has coincided with, this unprecedented level of liquidity in the global financial system. So, you have the situation that we've seen in the past in history where there's a lot of money floating around just searching for yields because, interest rates are so low and opportunities for making profit and gains on investment everywhere else are limited. So I think, and then I think, maybe it's coincidence, but, I also noticed that the fact that there's been a little bit of a correction in Bitcoin prices recently, it also coincides with some jitter in the global bond markets amid rising concerns over inflation. So I guess my question is, what do the experts on the panel think about this perspective? Meaning that, what if a big chunk of the gains in Bitcoin prices recently is just the result of froth in the global financial system? And as something that Scarlett said earlier, remind me also, I think, the observation has been made that the volume of cryptocurrency markets, including Bitcoin, is actually, while it's been rising quickly, is actually quite small compared to the entirety of the global financial the funds existing and moving around in global financial markets. So which means that just a small move in part of the global financial markets is enough to make waves in crypto markets. So anyway, I would be curious to hear what people here think about that. Thanks.
Thanks for the question, Fazurin. And yeah, getting a question from an economist from IMF. Yeah, that's a pretty interesting question. Again, I reiterate, nothing that we share should be taken as investment advice. Personally, I don't think crypto as an asset class is correlated really to any of the other major asset classes. But yeah, open to the floor and the speakers to Fazurin's questions.
No one. Anyway, to a certain extent, I really think that I agree with what you said, Fazurin, on the liquidity issue, because there is plenty of quantitative easing around the world right now, and then people are actually looking for investments. So that's why I am actually the skeptic here on the floor together with Giant Idaham as well. So actually, I would like to also direct these questions. I'd like to hear this from David. What do you think about, having a lot of liquidity right now, and people are actually looking for asset classes to invest, and so happen Bitcoin is actually becoming something that is very, very popular right now.
I think there isn't sufficient study at the moment to point to whether what has happened in the global economy has resulted in a high demand in crypto. But I think, again, based on from our conversations with our customers, we do understand that people are searching for better yields, better returns. So in some way, I would say that, again, from personal experience, I might be wrong on this, but from the customer's behavior and the way they choose to invest in Bitcoin, they are definitely looking for an alternative asset class. Whether it's because of global economy or it may just be because of local economy, right? But I think to say that it's directly because of what's happening externally, I wouldn't be confident to say that as well.
Let me add on regarding to my personal point of view. As a normal person in Malaysia, the reasons I choose so-called like to pick up on like crypto two reasons. One is mobility. I think second is liquidity. Because it's digital, basically like I mean like I can carry it around, right? Not like gold, fiat, even like houses kind of stuff, right? Secondly, liquidity. I mean that's again my personal point of view, right? It's a lot more faster for me to liquid my Bitcoin rather than my any other assets such as house. So this is the reasons, like I pick up Bitcoins and Ethereum instead of other thing else.
Right. Thanks for that, Kari. And yeah, liquidity is an interesting question as well, looking at the flow and app of money as well. And, personally as well, looking at how much funds are going out. So from, one of my other roles is as a financial planner, and I've actually been seeing clients on two extremes. One that are a bit affected, pay cuts, job losses, etc., and are struggling. But the other end is that people who actually have an excess of money actually, because, there's actually less places to spend. So I would figure that some of these funds is actually going into investing. And speaking of investing, let's hit in our third question, and that was part from Roshan earlier as well. So everyone, what's your percentage of crypto holdings in your overall investment asset allocation, or what's your recommended, if you're a financial planner, what do you recommend to your clients, the percentage of crypto as an asset allocation? And also tied to that, what's your investment case for Bitcoin? Maybe Daniel, you can start us off with this.
So I would say for me at least, my advice to my friends is actually, this is money you will take to Genting and burn. So money you're not afraid of losing now. But again, with the appreciation of Bitcoin in recent months, and sometimes you have to actually look at rebalancing your portfolio. Like, because I know a couple of folks that have a bit of like a 5% investment into crypto, and all of a sudden that 5% is a lot larger than it is. So it really depends on
you meaning from 5% to like 8%, 10%, is it? Is that what you mean?
No. So like their origin, like say pre-March 2020, it was 5% of their portfolio, and then after later half of the year and early 2021, it's a lot larger than 5% of their total asset class, basically. So in terms of percentage, so I think one of it is our mutual friend. So like they are looking to either they are figuring out whether they should rebalance or just like be crypto heavy in terms of their distribution of investment?
That's a question I'm struggling as well with all my clients who actually invest in crypto. I'll keep you posted actually. We are figuring that part out as well. We'd love to hear as well from Lee.
Hi, yeah, okay. I'm in a similar situation as what David said. So I actually dabbled in mining a little bit. I was fortunate enough to do it, I think, many years back. So I
You
think,
lucky boy.
yeah, I'm not that lucky because I sold off some a few years ago as well. So right now, I started off with a goal of less than 1% of my portfolio actually. And with the recent rise, I think it has gone up to, I think, probably almost 10% already. So I'm also struggling with whether to liquidate and then rebalance my portfolio. But I'm more on the side of just keeping it for now and then, yeah, see what the future holds, because I do believe in holding actually Bitcoin. Yeah.
Right. Definitely not an easy question. At the moment, the approach that I personally am taking and will be talking with clients is to base the percentage of asset allocation into crypto as based on the invested amount actually, rather than the current value, because it is a little bit over inflated as well. Yeah. In the moment, I'd love to hear what Roshan's allocation is. But before we get to Roshan, Giant, we have mentioned you as a skeptic multiple times, and you have publicly stated that you are a crypto skeptic. But then, just last week, as we last Thursday, as we had our My Personal Finances Clubhouse meeting, you mentioned that you actually used to own Bitcoin. So what would make you seriously consider restarting crypto investing again?
I never liquidated all. I'm very similar to Lee, where I also started out with mining, and I think I joined Luno when it was still called BitX. So
old school crap there, man.
So I think for me, the skeptic part is on the meteoric rise, I would say, because I'm so used to the traditional asset class like shares, like Roshan had stated, you look at the cash flow, and then like bonds, you look at things like yields and all that. So for me, I do feel that there's a need to temper the exuberance and the enthusiasm in certain areas. But at the end of the day, I still feel that, like I think Marshall mentioned it earlier in the talk, where using it as a hedge, I think that's a good proposition, at least when you're looking over your investment assets. It's just that diversify. Exactly what Roshan mentioned, said just now. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right. Don't always laser eyes, right? Put some sunglasses or some shades on.
Yeah, definitely.
Roshan,
my laser eyes is behind the glasses right now.
right. Virtual high fives to you, bro. Roshan, you talk about personal finance, and I'm sure you've been talking about Bitcoin as well. But do you yourself hold Bitcoin? What percentage of it is an allocation of your portfolio?
I'm scared to answer this, lah.
Why?
It's zero. I have not. I told myself, and this is the funny thing. I actually spoke to David last year. I'm not sure if you remember this one, David. It was on the Breakfast Grill, and at that point, I was telling you about how I wanted to get on the platform, but I basically procrastinated. And I had the intention of making it over time. I think 1% of my portfolio. That was the goal.
Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet?
I don't know, lah, dude. I don't know. Now it's just like, now I think just a bit of it's now friction, really.
DCA, man.
Yeah,
I'll give you a promo code later.
That's exactly it. I want to do DCA. It's a matter of just putting that 50, I think 50 or 100 ringgit in. This is just my personal view. I'm not recommending this to anyone, but I want to make it part of my situation. So now it's not. And of course, there is a little part of me that wants to die inside, but also I had my own reasons, I guess, because at that point, it was just, I don't want to invest in anything that I don't understand. And I personally hadn't done enough homework into Bitcoin to fully trust myself with that. So I think that's what it is. So I'm not disappointed with myself in not investing. I'm disappointed with myself for not taking an active point to learn more about it earlier.
Right. Thanks for honesty there, Roshan. Yeah, that's totally true. And I'm sure you're not the only one in that boat, actually, in this room right here. And hopefully from this 60 minutes, it's a start actually on that educational process. We're gonna go to the next question shortly, but before that, we have Faiz and Zikri. Fai, you have a question or comment for us? Keep it brief if possible.
Since you're asking the allocation question, I'll just share my journey. So I'm a happy Luno customer. So thanks Luno team for the good work.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to share my Bitcoin allocation is 20% of my overall investment portfolio. So
how does that make you feel?
Very happy. One of my questions I have is about the safety of Luno. So I understand that a few years back, the Mt. Gox incident. So I just want to understand in terms of Luno, how do you hold the Bitcoin in custody? Do you keep it in Gemini or any other custodian? That's my first question. Second question is, I understand that Luno, you have interest account for Bitcoin in other markets. Just want to get an understanding in terms of the timeline in Malaysia when you're rolling up this.
Normally we only allow one question, but I'm actually interested in both those questions. So David, Scarlett, over to you guys. Great questions, Fai.
Yeah, I'll take this. Thanks for the question, Fai, and thank you for being a Luno customer. So I think in terms of security, right, we definitely place a very strong importance. We emphasize this a lot because I think being a regulated entity, especially under Securities Commission, we are, we have to actually comply and etc. Our policies and everything has to be audited and reviewed by the regulators before being approved. So you have, I think you can rest assured that our systems definitely is up to par, and it has been evaluated and reviewed by the regulators lah. So we do have hot, cold, and deep freeze storage. So what it means is that the hot wallet is that we only store a small percentage of the cryptocurrencies online to facilitate the transactions that you make on our platform. The rest, the cold storage and the deep freeze, they are all totally offline, distributed in different continents, and stuff like that, with like some James Bond bank grade kind of situation. And these are the kind of stuff that we have submitted to the regulators, and it has been evaluated. So that is for the crypto part, and we also have multi-signature kind of thing to ensure that internally we also comply to the strict highest standard that we have to ensure that there is no internal jobs and stuff like that can be done. So no one single person holds the exact identical key to to release the crypto or anything, or sign the transaction. So no one has that power in Luno, definitely not our CEO as well. So you can rest assured on that. So that is on the crypto part lah. So for the fiat part, I mean, for a centralized exchange, as a regulated entity, we also need to take care of the ringgit portion as well, because every investors in the Malaysian market do fund your account in Lunos, like using ringgit. So that part is being taken care of by having a independent third party trustee. So that is put in place by the regulators to assure that if anything does go run south or things like that, the trustee is in place to ensure that the investors' fund are being returned to the investors. There is a proper business continuity plan in place, and all these procedures, policies are in place before we got the full approval from the Securities Commission. So I'm highly confident with what we have in place, and our customers can safely buy, sell, and trade on our platform. So that's on the security part. I'm not too sure if you want me to answer the second question, Stephen.
Before that, I'm gonna, I just want to say that Luno's really secure. It's so secure that for KYC they actually forced me back to level 0 actually, so I needed to submit my verification again, and I can't DCA for the last few days.
Same here.
Okay, guys. Okay, guys.
that's
Yeah,
why.
yeah. That is actually part of the our process to refresh customers' information, because as a few of you guys, or some customers have been with us for quite some time, and it is important that we keep the information up to date, so that we know who you really are, and everything is relevant, and that's why we have all this kind of KYC refresh exercise ongoing from time to time. So yeah, okay, so I'll jump to the second question that Fai has, was the savings wallet. Thank you, Fai, for raising about this. It shows that you do follow our newsletter and our announcements and articles. So savings wallet is definitely something that the Malaysia team wants to introduce. However, because it still takes we still need to take a little bit of time to walk through the whole discussion with the regulators and stuff like that. So for the time being, we do not have an estimated or exact timeline on when will it be launched in Malaysia. But rest assured that the Malaysia team is definitely trying our best to communicate to our customers, as well as to try our hardest to lobby to the regulators. Yeah, if David wants to add on the savings wallet, that would be great as well.
If not, that's cool. But yeah, sure, David, if you have something to say, go ahead.
No, I think no, thanks for giving us the feedback, right? But at the moment, I think we just can't introduce it yet. But obviously, there are many other things that we can also still do apart from the savings wallet to better serve you as a customer. And obviously, we're trying to explore more exciting product that we can introduce within the requirements of the cryptocurrency regulation.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
All right,
just one more
Fai, for the
question.
question.
Are you hiring at the
Sorry,
moment?
Fai. I have to cut you off actually, because we're running 10 minutes late. Yeah, catch us for the next session actually. We'll
Sure,
be happy
thanks.
to have your next question. Appreciate that. All right. So for the fourth question, actually, it's a simple question. Simple but not easy. How do you value Bitcoin? And David, I'm going to start with you, because I actually interviewed you during Luno's Malaysia relaunch event way back in 2019, whether there's an established way of valuing crypto. And today, of course, it's 2021 now. It's 15 months since we actually had that conversation on interview. Is there now a better way to value crypto?
Still, in all honesty, that is a very tough question. I think
that's why I'm asking it, man.
Yeah, because I think because Bitcoin is an asset class that's traded everywhere in the world, there isn't a fixed price or a standard way to value the crypto. But again, I'm relying on data here, right? From customers' behavior, at least for Malaysia, they always rely on overseas prices, and they look at the most liquid exchanges, to make a reference. As to how that value, whether that valuation that they see holds true to the valuation that that determines whether they want to invest or not. That's actually a very tough question, because it's such a volatile asset class, right? No one knows, for example, if Bitcoin is trading at $50,000, no one knows whether it's overvalued and no one knows whether it's undervalued. It's highly speculative. Its prices is driven by so many different factors, from its use case to trading, to its trading opportunities, to many other different things as well. So I think it's a tough question, and I don't think anyone will have a right answer to that. But however, having said that, I think
you're stopping everyone else from giving their opinions after this, David.
Yeah, sorry. I'll just finish very quickly. Right? I think consistent with what everyone says, right? At the end of the day, crypto is a high risk investment, so it is always best that you be very careful and only invest in what you can lose.
Open to the floor, speakers. How do you value Bitcoin?
Check Luno.
Well, that's the current value. Other than that,
51K plus right now.
Again, I think also maybe because I'm a product of the time when I got involved in Bitcoin, but as long like even if it goes to zero, I don't care. That's my thought. I'm very
well, you're gambling on it, so there's a different viewpoint, I guess.
But I think as long as another person believe that no, there's a RM1 value, there's still RM1 value. So this is how I felt it, right? As long as at least one person believe, then the price still there. I think it will not go down to zero. That's how I felt.
Right. That's one way as well. I actually read this interesting paper that was released by the CFA, Chartered Financial Analyst Institute, and they actually proposed 5 different ways, believe it or not, on valuing crypto. So you guys talked a little bit about, as an alternative of gold, so it's a percentage of gold's asset allocation and the viewpoint of it. There was a second one actually, which was actually based. I'm not going to talk about all 5, maybe just a few. Another one actually looking at how is the use case actually of Bitcoin being transacted actually. So with that, can actually calculate out the value in order to determine that. The third one will be actually looking at the amount of electricity and computing power required. And people are still running Bitcoin miners, so it has to be at least from a logical point of view at least equivalent to the amount of power and electricity and energy and the computing power being consumed as well. And I think there was a fourth one as well, which very brilliant people with PhDs and all that. So that's way over above my head. But basically, they say they use quant analysis, quantitative analysis, and with that, they're actually able to calculate out and give a value of Bitcoin actually. Any other thoughts from?
Actually, I have my own thoughts on this, but not to belittle what you have mentioned, Stephen, from the CFA. I'm not as smart as those guys, and also I actually kind of agree with what David have mentioned. But all in all, it comes down to the stage of Bitcoin. Where is Bitcoin right now? So if I think about it like a startup, right? So you can actually value a startup using a book value. So book value, but if you value a startup only based on book value, they could probably be worth nothing. So in the end, it really comes down to the passion, the fire behind the company, or in this case, the fire behind Bitcoin. So how it comes down to like what Karin has mentioned, but I will tweak it a little as what Karin have actually mentioned. He mentioned that as long as one person, to my point of view, it's actually how much does the second person values Bitcoin, right? So if you are holding Bitcoin, it all comes down to how much is the next person that's willing to buy it. That's the value of Bitcoin right now. So it's actually very hard to value something that is still in their early stages with even though there's so many use case, but we don't really see it in our mainstream life right now as at today, at least in Malaysia or even in many parts of the world right now. So all in all, it comes down to how much does the next person to you values this thing. That is actually my point of view.
Right. A bad way of saying it is that there's the bigger fool theory actually. And the last question is still about value, so we can continue to talk about value as our
I
very
mean, it's
last
like
question.
willing buyer, willing seller theory, lah.
Yeah, definitely willing buyer,
Yes,
willing
exactly.
seller theory. So let's talk about value. Moving ahead as well, and for example, both the skeptics as well as the believers actually. What do you think would be the value of Bitcoin, in the next 5 to 10 years? But before we into that, Daniel, you're the admin of entrepreneurs and startup, Facebook group. There's more than 40,000 plus members. Do you think that all business owners and entrepreneurs should follow the footsteps of like Elon Musk and Square and all that and hold Bitcoin?
No, it depends. I mean, like products like Luno make it really accessible for them to actually do that. But a lot of businesses should actually have more liquidity at hand because like they are running business. If they have access in terms of allocation, fine. It's wherever they want to invest is really up to them. I'm not sure. Does Luno have corporate account by any chance?
Daniel, we have yet to launch corporate accounts in Malaysia yet. Currently, we're just focusing on retail individual investors for the time being, but it's definitely in the pipeline.
Yeah, so that will be an issue in terms of some of these companies, basically, of actually allocating their asset. Probably they need a nominee to nominee account by one of the directors to put in Luno, or they will just buy like over-the-counter Bitcoin from another vendor or something like that. So really depends. So the long answer is, I think you should actually have enough cash to run your business. Anything extra, then you can decide.
Right, right. Interesting thoughts actually, especially for all the entrepreneurs and startup owners there. But I caught on the one thing you actually were talking about liquidity actually. How it should be more liquid. But then Curry was actually saying that one of the reasons he was into crypto was because of that it is liquid. So if Curry can share your thoughts on that, and also where do you think the value of Bitcoin will go in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so I'm a user of Luno also, same things, right? So I'm just putting a scenario, right? Let's say right now, whatever X number of Bitcoins that I have inside Luno, I think less than 30 minutes, basically it can, I can liquidate and send it back to my bank account. If you compare to like whether it's your car, even your real, physical goals, like, or even silvers or house, I mean, come on, house you need at least like 30 days, right, to liquidate. That's one. Second thing is like on 2019, I went to Phuket, and you'll be surprised there was this thing called uh, Crypto Beach, where I think there was like 100 over retail outlets. They accept Bitcoin. And there's a lot of people that went to Phuket. They always worry that been stolen, your cash been stolen, all that kind of stuff, or went to party that did not change enough. So most of these fellas went there, right, with Bitcoin, right, with crypto. That's why I felt like mobility and liquidity, same things. I went to Australia, right, not enough money. So literally, like, I liquid down to Australian dollars and I start to spend. So this is how I felt it, right, on the liquidity part.
But
The
it's
value is very hard to say. That is value is very hard to say. Like
also very
Daniel,
hard. It's very hard for you to say. Like if the price keep increasing, then you need money to sell. That you need money to run your business. What will you do?
so like you say, I could agree with you, Daniel. It's like no, whether it's going to be stock, buying gold or crypto or whatever, it's like you make sure that that is the money that you willing to lose it all. Right, it's not the money that you needed to run your company operations or for your life kind of thing. This like really super extra money lying there doing nothing, and you afford to lose every of it. Then only you consider buying Bitcoin or other cryptos.
Right. Good points there from both Daniel and Kari. We'll ask one more person. I'm actually not going to ask David and Scarlett because, if I ask them what's the value of Bitcoin, I think Luno has a policy that tells them that they can't say that. I've been asking Aaron, he refuses to answer that question and he tai chis it around. But yeah, Lee, you're a business owner as well. What are your thoughts on that? And also, what do you think is going to be the value of Bitcoin in the next 5 to 10 years? Yeah, of course, we understand it's just your opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think I can't value Bitcoin at all, Steve. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think I echo everyone's opinion here. But like I said earlier, I see it more of a store of value, and I think a few white papers were mentioned, like the Satoshi's paper. I think that one is something that people need to read if they want to invest in it. I would like to add one more. ARK Invest, they did a really good paper, a very, I would say, optimistic paper. So after reading that, I actually put in a little bit more money into Bitcoin. So I would suggest people look at it. They cover a few prongs on Bitcoin's value and its future potential value. So yeah, I'm sorry, I really don't know exactly how to value it right now. And probably in the future we'd have a better sense of it.
Sure. Thanks for the tip as well. Different people have different valuations. I've seen people talk about 1 million, on the low end, 100,000. Median seems to be about 400,000. And we're gonna just have one final question before we move to our closing thoughts. Zikri, thanks for your patience. You've been on stage. We are talking about Satoshi, and your handle is Sultan Satoshi. Actually, do you have a question or comment for us, Zikri?
Hi guys, thank you. We're talking about how Bitcoin has been famous suddenly, and because it's a bull market currently in the bull cycle, so there's a lot of FOMO going on. And just want to know from Luno if the government is taxing us, because South Korea recently just stated that they're taxing 20%. In January 2022, so that's 20%. So I'm just wondering, when can we expect that to happen in Malaysia and by how much? So I think it's very important because FOMO can lead to many people just trading senselessly, or buy senselessly. So they have to know how much they'll be taxed. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for the question, Zikri. I'll answer part of it actually before passing to David or Scarlett. So as of right now, though, taxation is only if it's actively traded. Yeah. So if it's not actively traded, yeah, it's not taxable. But yeah, to the other parts of the question, David, Scarlett, any quick thoughts before we move to our closing thoughts?
Yeah, I remember LHDN website actually have some guidance on it, so you can just go to the LHDN website and check it. But Steven is right. Only if you actively trade, then you have to pay tax for it.
All right. And with that, we are moving
Hey,
on to our
Steven.
closing thoughts. Yep, go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Steven, so sorry. Since David is here, I want to take an opportunity to ask everyone on the floor. So sorry to take up your time, but I really have this burning question that just now when we were talking about valuation, right? No one has a solid rule to value a Bitcoin, right? But then we keep on mentioning Bitcoin as a to store the value as a hedge, for asset class to store value, right? Why would we be so confident that this is a storage of value, and yet we don't really have a way to value Bitcoin? Just any thoughts?
I'm just
Anyone?
going to quickly fire and everyone can just jump in. For me, quick thoughts that come to mind, and this is just off the cuff, would be basically mass adoption, institutional investors, countries actually holding Bitcoin actually as a store of value.
Yeah, maybe I can give some personal thoughts. So I need to qualify first. Whatever I say doesn't represent Luno. But I think personally, as an investor myself, I always look at data. If you look at Bitcoin's data, even though it's a nascent market, it's only for 12 years, I think there is sufficient data for you to make a reasonable deduction of that, right? So I think that would be my personal stance as a personal investor. However, having said that, again, I think like what everyone has agreed, the price is very volatile, so always start small. In fact, you can actually start as small as $5. And that would be a good start by itself, and then learn about the technology in a better way lah.
Right, and just to chime in a little bit on not so directly on valuation, so that burning question of yours, Marshall, will still go on. But just to quote from Aaron actually, because Aaron still isn't on iOS, so I just want to make sure I mention his name here. So Aaron was actually sharing with us that statistically, he's talking of course historical, is no indicator of future performance. But if you bought Bitcoin at any point in time in Bitcoin's history and you held it for a period of 3 years, you actually made money no matter where in that point of time that you bought it at. Oh, with that, let's move into our closing thoughts actually, and feel free to plug something as well related to the topic. And I actually want to direct David actually to close the closing thoughts. But with that, I actually want to quote a little bit actually. So I was actually looking. So Luno's co-founder and CEO, Marcus Swainpool, I hope I pronounced that right. Marcus Swainpool said, and I quote, "One of the main challenges still facing cryptocurrency is its adoption. So we feel a responsibility to do our part to educate the masses on why we believe cryptocurrency is the future of money." Yeah. So David and Scarlett, what do you want to tell all of us in the audience today, all the My Personal Finances Clubhouse members, as your closing thoughts?
So I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to what Bitcoin use case really is. I think I'm not going to go too deep into detail because we've spoke at length about this. And really, I think Bitcoin's positioning in this exciting space is really trying to solve a trust problem, right? And on top of those trust problems, a lot of its use case has actually came up and has allowed its adoption and its understanding from the mass market to learn about it. So I would always suggest anyone who hasn't heard about Bitcoin and has not invested in Bitcoin, do take a deep look into it. There's ample information on YouTube and social media, and even on the Luno website. We have a learning center, a learning portal where we write a lot of articles about it. Try to learn about the use case of blockchain and cryptocurrency in general. Then I think you will start gaining an appreciation on why it has taken on so well on a global level.
All right, thanks, David. And with that, we'll keep Scarlett for last, actually. First to start us off and last to close us off, actually. Cerventus, Daniel, any closing thoughts or any plugs?
Nothing really. I mean, do your research. It's again, I'm optimistic. I'm bullish about it, but just really do your research. And know the risk that's involved. Don't let your uncle, auntie, best friend, or whatever tell you like, "Hey, sure make money one," or Aaron, Mr. Stingy said, "Sure make money," because. Just do your research. If this within your risk appetite, by all means, like just go ahead.
Yeah, or your dog telling you to buy Dogecoin. Yeah. Lee, any closing thoughts or plugs?
Yeah, same here. Do your own due diligence. As with all investments, so view Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, I would say as an investment, but of course I wouldn't say be ready to lose it all because there should be at least a safety sort of buffer there. So yeah, do your own due diligence as in everything else. Yep. So thanks guys.
All right, thanks, Lee. Kari, closing thoughts?
So I started crypto not on Bitcoin but on Ethereum because of ERC20. I believe that most technical people, like guys in the room, I think check it out on the technical side, like what can he do. Then I think you understand more. And secondly, please don't FOMO, right? Definitely don't FOMO. No panic buy, no panic sellings. Okay, do your research.
Okay, I'm going to share my quick thoughts. I will jump to Giant, Marshall, and Scarlett to wrap us off. Yeah, I think it's good that we're actually having a conversation. Trying to keep it tight a little bit as we talk about Bitcoin, and just recognizing the volatility that's there, and I think it comes a little bit with experience as well, and you can kind of tell with the recent dips as well whether someone is just very new into Bitcoin or someone who has been investing in Bitcoin a little bit, because the newer ones are like, okay, it's actually moving, the heart's beating faster, while a more seasoned investor is like, oh, okay, yeah, this is normal, and just kind of coasting it through. Yeah, so I think it comes both with a little bit of maturity, both in the personal investor as well as with the entire landscape of crypto and Bitcoin. And I'm going to throw in a plug as well. Yeah, so Luno has a promo code actually with MyPF, where you can actually buy 500 ringgit in crypto and get 50 ringgit in Bitcoin for free. So the code is Luno MyPF 50. Luno MyPF 50. Else you can check out the offer by viewing my full profile. All right, Giant.
I think for me, like I'll just echo what everyone was saying here. I think you have to practice responsible investing, which means that I think you should start with a goal or objective for why you want to invest. Always have a strong base of cash reserves or emergency fund. That's Roshan's favorite investment, emergency funding. Diversify with the right asset allocation. I think practice dollar cost averaging to smooth the volatility and also understand the time horizon. I think that's very, very important with the asset class such as cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
All right, thanks, Giant. Marshall.
Hey, I think everyone has actually spoken quite well. I don't really have anything
No
to
group cuddling,
cover.
man. No
Yeah,
group
man.
cuddling.
Yeah. I actually wanted to be more against Bitcoin, but I know that I also hold Bitcoin. But same thing, same advice. Everyone do your homework. It sounds like a broken record by now.
But
But
buy
anyway,
Dogecoin. Buy Dogecoin.
Yeah, buy Dogecoin.
Okay, again, for those who don't get the joke, yeah, it's not investment advice. All right, Marshall, anything else? If not, yeah, Scarlett, yeah, the honor of closing us off as well. Scarlett, your closing thoughts.
Okay, so to clarify, Luno does not have Dogecoin on our platform. There's only 4 approved cryptocurrencies in Malaysia: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Litecoin. So I just need to clarify on that. Yeah, I guess I hope that tonight's session has been a good introduction for everyone. I think we have close to 200 people in the room, which is really impressive.
Wow, I didn't even check. All right,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
You
we have
guys rock,
200.
man.
Yeah, so I guess the crypto industry is definitely growing very rapidly in Malaysia. That's why you hear about Bitcoin. People started to talk about it. But the truth is that more than 98% of Malaysians still has not gotten their first taste of cryptocurrencies or own a Bitcoin, like a fraction of Bitcoin yet. So as a regulated entity like Luno, we still have a lot of work to do in terms of awareness and education. So yeah, I guess just some simple thought is that I agree with everyone what they have shared. Do not use emergency funds or do not go into debt just because you want to invest or you feel FOMO. Do your homework. Start small. At Luno, you can start as low as ringgit to buy your first Bitcoin through Luno. Use MyPF's one affiliate code. You can buy it in a staggered manner. And I think the last quote that I want to give is actually quoted from my boss, Mr. Stingy, which is Aaron Tang, the country manager of Luno Malaysia. He wrote a very good article about why he believes in Bitcoin and why he thinks that everyone should invest in it. There's this quote by Paul Tudor Jones, which is an American billionaire hedge fund manager. He said that buying Bitcoin is just like investing with Steve Jobs and Apple or investing in Google early. So this phrase really influenced me, which is one of the main reasons I believe and I chose to participate in this industry. So yeah, that's all from me, guys.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, so there's only so much that you can learn in 60 minutes. Well, technically we went to 80 minutes, actually a little bit more than an hour. Read Mr. Stingy's article. I've read it. I think it's really good. I trust what he says. About the article on ARC, actually talking about crypto. So I'm definitely going to check that out as well. On MyPF, we have also resources on crypto and Bitcoin. So do check us out as well. So with that, we have officially come to the end actually of this week's Clubhouse session. We won't be closing the room immediately, so feel free to mingle around. If the speakers aren't in a rush, I'll probably leave it open for maybe like 5 minutes plus. Feel free to again bring anyone on stage, Marshall, if anyone wants to chat or ask any other questions, or even suggest future topics, provided the speakers are available, as I know we've gone a little bit over time as well. Join us again next week, Thursday, same time, 8:30 p.m. And we're going to try something new. Next week, Thursday, 8:30 p.m., we are actually going to do a session in BM, actually. Yeah, so for those who want to hear me speaking BM, and of course, we'll get more BM speakers. Giant will probably be the key moderator. So invite all your friends who want to learn a little bit more about personal finance, pengurusan kewangan, and all that in BM. Every Thursdays, 8:30 p.m. All right. So with that, the session is officially ended. Thank you so much, David, Scarlett, Luno, Daniel, Lei, Kari. It's been truly an honor and an awesome session with you. Feel free to kick back, relax. Do follow the speakers if you're interested to hear more of them speaking in the future. And we can just chill actually or bounce whenever we want. Thank you and have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah.
Thank you.
David and myself will still be on the room if anyone wants to ask any questions to us.
Yeah, I'm going to keep
sure.
quiet. So Marshall, Giant, go ahead.
Zach on the floor.
Yeah.
So,
Zach is back on the.
Yeah. All right. I'd like to bring up like the previous question about the tax thing. You said that it's only taxable if it's actively traded. Is there like a line, like when do you determine it is actively traded? And also, how about like that those of us here that are experienced in it, we don't just use Luno, we use Binance and other stuff, and how would that take into the account about the tax stuff?
All right, I knew I said I wouldn't speak anymore, but I'm here and Zach asked the question. All right, so a few guidelines. It's not fully clear yet, so we actually want to define it a little bit more. We are working on an article because I think that's a really interesting and important topic. Key things to note actually would be, one, is it capital gains? If it's capital gains, then chances are it's actually not taxable. What actually happens then is really your trading activity. If it's systematic, if it's planned, and it's regular, then high chances that it is actually taxable. I'm not familiar with the taxation of the other platforms. I'm looking to talk to some tax experts as well. But if any of the speakers want to weigh in this post session, feel free to do so as well.
This one I think it needs to be a separate session on tax. This doesn't just cover trading cryptos. What about those? What about traders that trades other types of securities, for example, shares, commodities? Are they going to be taxed? I think this can be a separate topic, Stephen.
All right, duly noted for the suggestion. So
I
follow
think
us,
we need
Zach.
to get a I think we need to get a tax expert in.
Yeah, maybe one of our CFP lectures on taxation, maybe.
I think, and also another thing is, recently, actually not recently, I think even like since last year, a couple of my friends are talking about like paying their teams partly, not fully, partly on cryptos, because some of them said were asking right now, can it be done? But there's no exact answer to us to this. So anyone have a thought on this thing, or maybe like David or Steven, like have you guys thought on this thing, or have any company in Malaysia did that?
I don't have info on that. Yeah, David, Scarlett.
So if you're asking if there are companies who declare their trading gains for tax purposes, right? Is that what you're
No.
asking?
It is the staff would like to be paid using crypto.
Oh, I see.
But
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. There are. I've seen that. I've seen overseas company hiring locals to work for them. For example, there's a media company. I won't name the name because I think it's a private information that my close network shared with me. But there is a media company who hire journalists in Malaysia, and they pay him in Bitcoin, and he receives his salary in Bitcoin. But I think the challenge with that is that how do he then make sure that he still fulfill his obligation on a personal level? How do he, for example, declare those taxes and stuff like that? And I think that has to really require a tax expert to advise here lah. But there is a way. There are companies doing this. I don't think there's a lot, if I can be really honest, but it has been done before.
thanks.
All right. So with that, we have another person, Adam. Adam, are you here with us?
Yes. Hi. Right. I'd like to fill in a little bit about the conversation regarding valuation of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a purely monetary asset class, even though it's not currently it's not a currency, but it is we are seeing an evolution towards that path. So, and because it is purely new monetary asset, it only has exchange value, right? So we can call it a monetary asset, even though it's still not a currency. And we as a civilization, we haven't seen this occur in like thousands of years. For the last time this happened is gold. So in order to understand the path that Bitcoin could take, we need to actually go beyond even what we have as a written history. So the best way to understand how to value Bitcoin is to look at monetary history and how gold evolves and competes with other currencies that were used throughout human history. How it became number one global reserve asset. So I recommend the book. It's called Bitcoin Standard, The Bitcoin Standard by Safidin Amus. You can buy it from Kinokuniya, KLCC. That will
All right.
explain.
Thanks for the information.
Yeah. Thanks. So that's it.
Okay.
Thank you for the insight. That's a very good sharing.
Yeah. All right. With that, let's end the session. So for those of you who are still here, thank you very much. Even though we are way past our time, I have no idea where Stephen went. Stephen left already. Anyway, yes. Thank you very much again. Thanks, David. Thanks, Scarlett, for joining us on this MyPF weekly talk. And yeah, stay tuned and check us out. Check us out every week, Thursday, 8:30, same time. Next week, Idam, you're the boss.
Okay, thanks, Marshall.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Good night.